What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another class setup video. It's been a really long time since I've done one of these, and I thought I'd update this since classes change all the time, and they're still changing today. They always evolve with the game, and that's why I want to give that disclaimer at the beginning of this video, just like all of my class setup videos. These classes are what I like and what work for me. What works for me might not work perfectly for you, so you might look at something and be like, that's really weird, how is that helping them at all? The stuff that I use works really well for me, and it might not work for you. Also, things change a lot. Things change for me even from game to game. Sometimes I'll be swapping something out with a lot of these classes, so none of these classes are completely set in stone. But I thought I'd share what I'm really enjoying using right now, so you guys can have a look and gain some insight into the classes that I use. So first off, this has kind of been my go-to class lately. It's the Weevil with Quick Draw, Grip, and Stalk on it. I love those attachments with this. Stalk is amazing on SMGs. It allows you to strafe in those gunfights really quickly, which helps you not only get your shot on target a little bit better, but it also helps you avoid the enemy's shots, and I find it helps me win so many gunfights. Also, Quick Draw combined with Fast Hands, I've said this a million times, it's just the best combination in the game if you're an aggressive player that tends to be caught sprinting, which I do a lot with this class. This class is designed to be super aggressive, super versatile. A lot of times I want to just get into the enemy spawn and I want to be able to snap on a target if I get caught sprinting. And Grip I find just helps out quite a bit actually with the Weevil. The Weevil isn't terrible for recoil, but with Grip I find it almost behaves like an assault rifle in some scenarios. So I love using Grip on the Weevil. As for lethals and tacticals, I've been having so much fun using the combat axe lately. I know it's not like the most practical thing to use, and for a lot of people, like a frag grenade would get them kills more consistently, but I just love getting kills with the combat axe. It's so satisfying and it's fun to have. Plus, I've started actively going towards the Trick Shot Dark Ops challenge, which requires you to hit an HCXD with a combat axe. So therefore, I've been running it on more and more of my classes because you can't hit a trick shot if you don't have a combat axe available. Next up, we got Concussion, which is just a great thing to spend an extra point on. If you have one extra point on a class, I highly recommend throwing a Concussion on there. Another alternative would be like a launcher, but for this one, usually I'm aggressive enough and slaying enough that I don't worry about enemies putting up streaks because I'm killing them too much and they can't put up streaks. For perks, we got Flak Jacket, Fast Hands, and Awareness. Now, a lot of people get really upset at me for using Awareness. One thing I want to point out is Awareness itself, I don't feel is like a noobish perk. It's how you use it that can be noobish. Now, there are people that like sit in a corner and they just wait and listen for enemies to come by, and then they take them off guard. In my opinion, that's kind of a noobish way to play, even though it's a completely valid way to play. But it is kind of noobish, I find, when people use Awareness in that way. That's not how I use Awareness. I use Awareness by getting into their spawn, and I use it to give those extra sound cues when I'm actually in their spawn, right in the action, and there's enemies all over the place. I love having that little extra sound cue. I don't rely on Awareness, but it is really nice to have, and definitely gets me a few kills and saves my life in a few situations. And then Flak Jacket, that's kind of a given. It's just an awesome perk for objective game modes. I can hop on the B flag without worrying about like one frag grenade just taking me out instantly. So that's a Weevil class. That's kind of my go-to class. A lot of times if I'm struggling, this is when I pull out that class and just like turn things on. Next up, we have an HVK class. And with this one, it's more so like my assault rifle class. You can swap this HVK for any of the assault rifles in the game, and it's still a great assault rifle class. So for this one, I've got the Varix, which I think is still kind of a somewhat underrated attachment. Now, they did nerf the Varix significantly. If I remember, I'll put a link to the video where I talk about the nerfs that happened to the Varix, but it doesn't reduce recoil nearly as much as it used to. I still find it's a good sight to use on some guns. It still does reduce recoil, which is great, and the HVK does have a decent amount of recoil when you start to get those mid to long range gunfights. So we have that, we have Quick Draw, and we have extended mags. I find I just burn through magazines very quickly with the HVK because it does have a high fire rate, and I tend to be challenging people at a bit of a distance, so it is kind of nice to have that extended mags there. And then Quick Draw, again, Quick Draw and Fast Hands, it's just a given for my classes. It's the way I play very aggressively, and I don't mind getting caught sprinting because I have Fast Hands and Quick Draw. Next up, we have a launcher on this one. This is designed to be a really versatile class, so I want to be able to take out streaks if need be. And the reason I use an XM53 over a Black Cell most of the time is, first off, I actually use it when I really get into a pinch. Sometimes I want to use it against an enemy player, which you can't do with a Black Cell. So a lot of times it saved my life and saved my streak where I run out of ammo with the HVK or something and I just have that launcher, and it allows me to get that one kill so I can pick up ammo or another gun or whatever it might be. And it still is good against streaks. And this isn't really designed to take down the super high streaks that take like tons of rockets to take it down. It's just one of those things where, yeah, I can pop a couple shots into a Wraith or something if there's an issue. Like if a Wraith pops up, I've got that option available to me. For this one, I've got 2 concussion grenades. I use this one relatively aggressively on the objective. I love just stunning and then pushing in and killing enemies. And then again, we have Flak Jacket. And for this one, instead of awareness, I have Tactical Mask. I feel like you should always have a tactical mask class. That's a little bit hard to say. Ready to go at all times. And this one definitely helps. Because if you run into one of those teams where they're just constantly spamming concussion grenades, you definitely want to have a Tac Mask class ready to go. So that's the HVK class, or my Assault Rifle class, like I said. I can even show you, like right here, if I wanted to swap to a KN-44, I'd probably put Quick Draw Grip, and that gives me an extra one. I'd probably take one of these off, and I'd maybe pop on Awareness, something like that. It just shows you how versatile these classes are and how much they actually change. Like, I change my classes on the fly like that all the time. But we'll move on to the next one. I get asked a lot about my shotgun classes because I tend to do quite well with shotguns. Not all the time, but I usually have some pretty good games with the shotgun. So we got the KRM with extended mags. That's really the only attachment that's needed on the KRM, in my opinion. A lot of the other ones, they just don't really do anything for you. Quick Draw, you rarely need to aim down sight. Suppressor, absolutely not. That just destroys the gun. Stock, usually, like I said, you're not really aiming down sight. Laser sight, this is something I see a lot of people using, and I want to just talk about this a little bit in this video to hopefully point you guys in the right direction and save you a point. The way the damage profile works with shotguns in this game, it usually doesn't matter how many pellets you hit, because there's a really high base damage just for hitting one single pellet. So most of the time, hitting that extra pellet or two isn't really going to help your kill potential with the shotguns. And therefore, what laser sight is doing is it's actually making it less likely that you're going to hit that one single pellet because you have a tighter spread. So with a wider spread without laser sight, you actually have a better chance of dealing that minimum base damage and therefore dealing that damage to your enemy. And that's why I avoid running the laser sight. In some situations, it does matter that you hit that one extra pellet and the laser sight will help, but in most situations, I find it's actually detrimental to have that on. As for the rest, I'm not going to really go into all the attachments. It's not really an attachment video. Again, we've got an XM53. This is great, especially with shotguns. If I find myself getting into a situation where I don't feel like I can close the distance on a guy or something, I can always whip this out and try and take him out with the XM53. Again, we got that combat axe mainly because I'm going for that trick shot challenge, but also because it's just a lot of fun. And sometimes I want to try and get a long throw with it where I can't really challenge him with a shotgun. Concussion, great for closing that distance when you have a shotgun. You can stun a guy and then dart to his left or right and try and get up close to him. For my shotgun class also, you'll notice I'm not running Flak Jacket and I run Afterburner instead. The reason I do that is it just allows me to not have to like wait for my boost meter to ever recharge. I can be always on the move and it allows me to get around the map a little bit faster. Plus, most of the time I'm trying to get on the flank and everything like that, so Flak Jacket really isn't necessary because I'm not usually lingering in any hot grenade zones or anything like that. I'm usually pushing really, really aggressively, and I can always avoid the nades if I need to. Again, we have fast hands. I don't have Gung Ho on this, and I've explained this in the past, but basically Gung Ho, at least on the KRM, it barely reduces your sprint out time, whereas fast hands cuts your sprint out time in half. And that's what's really important with shotguns, is your sprint out time. And for this one, we've got Dead Silence and Tac Mask. Again, I don't like getting slowed down by concussion grenades. And for this one, Dead Silence, I like to use Dead Silence on this because I really like getting on the enemy's flank and being a little bit stealthy. I know it's not a full stealth class, but a little bit stealthy, and I just don't like getting Sound Horde when I'm trying to sneak up on a guy, so Dead Silence definitely helps with that. So the final class I'm going to go over today, I'm not going to go over every single one of my classes because that would be an extremely long video, and this one's already getting pretty long, but a lot of people wonder what I use for a sniper rifle class. So for this one, I'm using a Locust with ballistic CPU and stock. Lately, I've been using stock on my sniper rifles, and I actually find it helps a lot for strafing into your shot, just to make those really fine adjustments to your aim. So stock, I definitely recommend on sniper rifles. It feels great for me. For a secondary, we've got my favorite pistol, the MR6 with extended mags. And then we've got 2 shock charges. Now shock charges, I just love with sniper classes. I play more of a traditional sniper role, a somewhat aggressive yet traditional sniper role, so I do kind of hang back a little bit. I'm trying to usually stay behind my teammates, and a lot of times I just need something to watch my flank, or watch my back, or something like that. So that's why I love having shock charges there. They just kind of give me that indication of enemies that are coming so I can swap to my pistol or just pre-aim with a sniper rifle and be ready for those guys. Again, we have Afterburner on this one. The reason for Afterburner on this one is I love going for those like jump shots with sniper rifles, particularly on the map Infection. You can jump up on certain vehicles and stuff, and from there you can hit really cool jump shots into the windows. And if you don't have Afterburner, you have to wait a long time between shots. But if you have Afterburner on, you can get those shots off repeatedly much, much faster. Again, we have fast hands here. This one is more so I can swap to my pistol really quick, as well as throw shock charges quick. It doesn't really help too much with sniper rifles as far as like sprint out time goes, because your aim down sight time is going to be much longer than your sprint out time anyways. So fast hands doesn't really do anything for you in that sense, but to be able to swap to my pistol really, really quickly, I love having fast hands. And then we have awareness on this one as well. Now this one I do use in that more defensive sort of role. I'm not usually super mobile, but it is nice to get that little early indicator that someone's behind me so I can swap to the pistol and pick him off before he sneaks up on me. So that's why I use awareness there. So there we have it. That's going to wrap it up for my current top 5. I don't know if I could really call them my top 5, but some of my favorite classes that I'm using right now in Black Ops 3. Like I said, what works for me might not work for you, and also these aren't designed to be like MLG Pro, super competitive classes. Obviously, I've got like combat axes and stuff on these classes, so really they're not designed to be the absolute best class to give you maximum success. They're more so like really fun classes to use that are very effective and typically quite versatile. So I'd like to know in the comment section below, what is your #1 favorite class to use in Black Ops 3? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.